All right, y'all, we are back with another video. And man, oh man, we got some breaking news from Candace Owens. She said Kamala Harris lied about her black grandparents, because we know how Kamala Harris is trying to use that she's black to try to gain black people's votes, which we know she's lying. The woman's on air saying that she's Indian. Now, all of a sudden, she's black. Why? Because she wants the votes. She's pandering. If anybody watches her, depending on what crowd she's in front of, that's who she pandered to. Like, this right here is just crazy. Is CNN gonna cover this? No, they ain't gonna cover it. If is MSNBC, ABC, CBS, is any of them gonna cover this? No. Why? Because they want to keep Kamala Harris hidden. That's the reason why Donald Trump had to keep bringing up that she never worked at McDonald's. Why isn't CNN pushing back on her saying that she worked at McDonald's? Can't you imagine if Donald Trump said that he worked at McDonald's, they'd be trying to say that Donald Trump lied about it because it ain't no proof. But yet Kamala Harris get to lie and say that she worked at McDonald's with no proof at all. And this is the main thing right here about using this black card, this identity politics crap that I don't like. So we definitely finna dive straight into this by Candace Owens. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. That way you can stay up to date with everything that's going on. But I'm telling you now, this is brutal. And let's go.
All right, so let's recap. Yesterday, I can admit I was completely triggered. I was triggered by the manner in which the Guardian, or a Guardian reporter rather, treated Janet Jackson in a profile piece. It was very obvious they were trying to do the wacko jacko bit again, like they did with her brother. So to remind you, Janet Jackson brought up in her interview human trafficking, child trafficking, and the journalist then decided to heavily imply that Janet Jackson was just nuts to pretend that we have a issue in this country. And then when the reporter switched gears and asked her about supporting Kamala Harris as the first female black president, you know, Hollywood's all got to get in line and support this woman or else, Janet Jackson simply said that she had heard that Kamala was not black and that she was in fact Irish, and the media predictably went completely crazy. I mean, here are some of the headlines here. NBC, Janet Jackson tells interviewer she's heard Kamala Harris is not black, echoing election disinformation. Oh, love that word. Newsweek, Janet Jackson's Kamala Harris remarks spark black backlash. The Independent, she's not black. Janet Jackson makes shocking comments about Kamala Harris's heritage. And of course, the New York Times, Janet Jackson repeats false claims about Kamala Harris's race. False claims. So to be clear, all Janet Jackson said was, quote, "That's what I heard, that she's Indian, that her father's white. That's what I was told. I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days. I was told that they discovered that her father was white." Okay? That is all that she said that led to all of this craziness in the media trying to paint her like she was some sort of a psycho. And then her manager, a guy named Mo Elmarzi that I'm showing you a picture of here, he offered an apology on Janet Jackson's behalf.
Why would he do that?
He said, quote, "Janet Jackson would like to clarify her recent comments. She recognizes that her statements regarding Vice President Kamala Harris's racial identity were based on misinformation."
Wow.
Janet respects Harris's dual heritage as both black and Indian and apologizes for any confusion caused. She values the diversity that Harris represents and understands the importance of celebrating that in today's society. Janet remains committed to promoting unity and understanding, end quote. And guess what happened? Janet Jackson fired him immediately and said that he was not authorized to make that statement at all.
Exactly.
And she was not apologizing because she was not sorry, and good for her. I'm glad she fired him. I am so tired of people being so fake, having to apologize for something that should not have yielded any response from the media. In fact, it should have been the opposite. They should have went ahead and investigated the claim that Kamala Harris is black, gotten to the bottom of it fully. But instead, it was a media pylon. And then, after being fired, Mo added to that pylon by referring to Janet Jackson as unbalanced. Like, the person who just worked for her came out and was like, she's unbalanced. I mean, with friends like that, who needs enemies?
That's crazy.
Then came me. I don't know. I guess I really am the person that has been in these streets, Kamala, because I decided to simply look into her genealogy. Because why on earth is the world trying to convince me that this woman is suddenly black. Like they just decided she was black because she's running and because there is evidence, it is true, that her father grew up in Jamaica. Your race does not magically change because of where you grow up. Okay?
Exactly.
If I grow up in Sweden, I don't get to suddenly say I'm white. Okay.
There you go.
What I discovered was quite startling. Now, I'll ask you, when did you first get the idea that Kamala was black? Well, you'll say, yeah, when she kind of started running with Joe Biden. And that claim really came from Kamala herself. When they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, they understood that Kamala Harris published a book in 2019 called The Truth That We Hold. And presumably the book was filled with truth that she was holding. I had to look through it. And I saw this picture of her and her grandmother, clearly a black-looking grandmother, on page 282 in the photograph section. It reads, as you can see, visiting my paternal grandmother, Beryl, in Jamaica. Also on that same page, there's another photo of her. Again, you can see it's black and white. I'm not quite sure why it is black and white, but it says, when I was 10 months old, I visited Spanish Town, Jamaica. This is me with my mother and my paternal grandfather, Oscar Joseph. And now this guy looks mixed. He looks Asian of some description, but you can see the idea here is that she's definitely trying to introduce, in a manner of photos, things that make her race look more complicated. So I just decided to investigate that, and immediately things got weird, very weird. First and foremost, because it was very easy for me to determine via just a light search online that Beryl, her alleged paternal grandmother that you just saw, died 4 years before Kamala was born.
Wow.
In 1960. So last night we decided to continue our research.
So where did this picture come from then?
Certificates and marriage certificates and death certificates, which could further signify those points, and indeed it did. And it also raised even more questions about her genealogy. So let's go through those. Here is the birth certificate for her paternal grandmother. This is Kamala's paternal grandmother, Beryl. Okay, now you can see on this birth certificate that Beryl is spelled with an I. It's Beryl Magdalene. And you can see the reason why we know this is the correct Beryl is because the mother is listed as Iris Finnegan. Later on, we're going to show you in the book, she names Iris Finnegan as her great-grandmother. So that would be Beryl's mother. So we have the right woman. Also, formerly, her maiden name is Allen. That is true. It also says here that she's born in October of 1917 in St. Anne. That's the St. Anne parish of Jamaica. And again, you can see it says that it is signed by Iris Finnegan. Very clearly, this is the woman that we are looking for. This is Kamala's grandmother, alleged grandmother.
Something
Beryl.
ain't right.
It's also interesting, by the way, that it lists her great-grandmother as a seamstress because Donald Harris, Kamala's father, wrote in a 2020 piece called Reflections of a Jamaican Father, quote, Miss Iris, that again would be his.
It have to be a reason why Kamala Harris, why did her dad don't come out and talk or say anything? If y'all notice something at the DNC, she never mentioned anything about her father. She never mentioned anything. She only talked about her mother. Why hasn't Kamala Harris said anything about her dad? Which we knew he was a Marxist professor. We know that. But something is not right here. Something is not right. So if her grandmother passed 4 years before she was born, then who is this woman that's in the picture that Kamala Harris is taking a picture with? Who is that? Is Kamala Harris trying to use that? Like, something ain't right. We're going to figure it out.
Grandmother was the mother of 8 children, too, was the sweetest and gentlest person one could meet, but underneath it was a tough farming woman who ran the cane farm at Thatch Walk near Annan Town, jointly owned with her husband, Mr. Christie. Okay, that's weird. So you're telling me that she ran a farm because on that birth certificate it says that actually Iris was a seamstress, but whatever. Let's just park that aside for a second and stick with Beryl, this woman who died before Kamala was born, okay? Because I was feeling pretty certain that not too many people were going to be named Beryl and be born in the St. Anne parish of Jamaica in 1917 to a mother named Iris Finnegan. I felt confident that we could find a little bit more data, and in fact, we did, okay? First, we stumbled across Beryl's marriage certificate. Okay, so you can see that right here. And now the name spelling has changed. You have Beryl Finnegan spelled with a Y in the same way that Kamala spells it. And it lists their married date as 1944. Again, you can see the parish that is listed is St. Anne Parish. This is where every piece of Beryl's life seems to take place. It reads here that her calling is a barmaid. And something that jumped out at me was the fact that she's married to someone, as you can see, named Lawford Newland. Okay, so Beryl apparently was married.
That's why I said you cannot trust Kamala Harris. Like, she lies so much. It's hard to believe anything that comes out of her mouth. Because I'm still stuck on the fact the woman that was in the past 4 years before you was born, and you just take a picture with a random woman and saying that's your grandmother or something, trying to trick the public with this book, then that's not right. But CNN ain't gonna cover this crap. They ain't gonna cover this. They'll let Kamala get away with this. Why? Because they want her to win, so they don't care. They covering for her, they speaking for her, they telling everybody that question her skin, her race, that, oh, she's black. Kamala Harris never once said she was black. Why, when she was Joe Biden, she still is the vice president, she never mentioned anything. This woman said she was Indian. Not one time she ever said she was black. All of a sudden, she started running for president after they threw Joe Biden out. All of a sudden, she's black. So she can start pandering to the black crowd and think she's going to get their vote because she want to play like she's black. So it's like, we ain't going to fall for this crap. And I hope a lot of more people that watches this don't fall for this crap. This woman is a fake. She's on video. We ain't just saying this. She's on video saying she's Indian. Now, one time did she tell that woman that she was in front of her? The woman said, I'm Indian. She said, and you Indian too? She said, yeah. Now, one time did she say, hold up, ma'am, no, I'm black, I'm not Indian. She never did that. She said she was Indian. So where's the black coming from? But she's going to continue to do this. She's going to try to do this all the way up to election, to November 5th. And it's just crazy. So I hope a lot of people don't fall for this and be listening to CNN, MSNBC, because they going to run with it. They don't care. They just don't want Donald Trump to win. So they don't care. They taking up for Kamala by any means necessary. But we know for a fact that Kamala is a fake. We know that she's lying. We know that she changes her accent all the time depending on what crowd she's in front of. She do it all the time. And we see it over and over and over.
More than once, because Lawford Newland is not Donald Harris's father, but Beryl is his mother. So just to be clear, again, it says that she married a guy named Lawford Newland in 1944 when she was 25 years old, okay? It's important to note that that would have been 4 years after she gave birth to Donald Harris, Kamala's father. I find that to be very strange. Also, regarding Kamala's father, we cannot seem to locate, regarding Lawland Newland, the person that she married.
Okay.
We can't find him. Can't find him anywhere. We cannot find a birth certificate. We cannot find a death certificate. We can't find a news item or otherwise. I cannot find this alleged Lawford Newland that apparently her grandma got married to. We also can't find a wedding certificate for Beryl and Oscar Wilde Joseph Brown Harris. That is allegedly supposed to be Donald Harris's father. Okay, so Kamala's grandfather is Oscar Wilde Joseph Brown Harris, and we can't find a marriage certificate between the two of them. That's very strange.
Something ain't right. I told you.
As speculated, we were able to confirm that Kamala's black grandmother that she showed us in that picture died in 1960, before Kamala was born.
So
I can show you right now her death certificate. Let's take a look at Beryl's death certificate, which confirms As you can see there, it says that she died in July of 1960. It also tells us on the right-hand side.
Yeah, you can see it.
You guys will probably have to zoom in on this, but she died of a uterine infection, uterine fibroids due to a hysterectomy. It has her listed as 39 years. That's actually a couple of years off from 1917, so somebody may have gotten their math wrong here. But you once again see that it lists her birthplace as St. Anne. And so this is a huge scandal.
It is.
Just an absolutely huge scandal.
And they ain't gonna cover this either.
Kamala Harris published in her book that she was standing next to her Grandma Beryl. But Grandma Beryl died in 1960, 4 years before Kamala Harris was born. So who the hell is the real Beryl? Who is that woman standing next to Kamala Harris?
See, the thing is, they ain't gonna ask Kamala Harris about this. I want to see if a reporter is gonna ask Kamala Harris who's that woman standing in that picture with her, and go into specifics, say, well, this woman passed in 1960. You wasn't born till 1964. So who is the woman that you took a picture with in that book? And let's see what Kamala Harris' answer would be. But you know what? CNN, all of them, they ain't going to do that. They ain't going to do that. That's the reason why she ain't going to take questions from reporters. She ain't going to do town halls. She ain't coming to Fox News. She ain't going to do any of that because she trying to avoid the tough questions.
Harris. And do you know what I noticed about that woman standing next to her? She looks a lot like the woman that Kamala claims in her book is her great-grandmother, Iris. Now, that's Iris Finnegan. Here's the book with my great-grandmother, Iris Finnegan in Jamaica. Now, I'm going to give you the side-by-side of Iris and her alleged daughter, Beryl, who died at 39. Now, that woman on the right is not 39 years old. She's clearly much more advanced in her age. I mean, we know black don't crack. I mean, that's just a scientific fact. So I would put that woman on the right-hand side who she tried to pass off as Beryl, and I think is the exact same person. I would say that woman looks to be about 65. And then it looks like she's more advanced on the left-hand side. The great-grandmother, that's the same person. When I just believe my own eyes, we're looking at the same person. What do you guys think when you look at those photos?
Yeah.
How the hell does a person who is the vice president of the United States pass off a book, claim that these people that are in her book are her black relatives, and nobody bats an eyelash or does even a peripheral search to recognize that the woman that she put forth is implausibly her grandmother? And by the way, I'm going to say this and people can be offended, but the first thing that I thought when I saw the photo of her sitting on her great-grandmother's lap was that this doesn't look like a grandparent affection going on here. Like, this woman looks like she could be working for the family. Quite literally, I thought to myself, this woman looks like she could be the help. And I thought that because there's a lack of affection there. Do you know what I mean? But there's no, like, in both of the photos, there's a lack of affection. It's just like a woman standing next to her. And I obviously know that that was a circumstance. When you're talking about a family that had a ton of plantations, which is the reality. She descends from Irish slavers. That is a fact that Kamala Harris cannot deny. She descends from wealthy Irish slavers who virtually they did own the town. They named the town. It was Hamilton Town, and then it was Brownstown in Jamaica. He had over 1,000 slaves, okay? It would follow that there would be help around the house. And I'm just going to put here as a question mark, not as a fact. If they're looking at some of these photos of people who became like family and they're trying to pass them off like relatives, again, not a fact, a huge question mark, but my instinct tells me that that person is actually not her family member. And if it is, well, Kamala's got some explaining to do.
Yep.
How did she meet Grandma Beryl almost 20 years after Grandma Beryl died? Because Kamala Harris looks to be about 20 in that photo that she presented. Then there's another bit of a mystery, as I said. If Beryl married after her or before her wedding when she was 25 years old to the missing Newland, if anybody can find Newland, please let me know. But if Beryl married at some point Oscar Wilde Joseph Brown, where is their marriage certificate? Where is their divorce certificate? Again, I'm only prodding the narrative here because I'm going to need proof that she's black. The media has now made this a thing, and now you made it so much of a thing that you're attacking people like Janet Jackson when she asks a very reasonable question that you should be able to respond to.
And Janet Jackson only asked a question. She didn't even really say it. She just asked the question. She said, I heard she wasn't black. And here come The View, here come Whoopi Goldberg, here come CNN. Everybody, they always go after anybody who don't endorse Kamala, who don't support Kamala, and they question her if she's black or not. They all go after them every single time. But they okay when they go after Donald Trump. It's okay then. This is just crazy, man.
And now we have a verifiable lie that Kamala Harris told in her book, or a big uh-oh, because, you know, if I'm being nice, I guess sometimes you think when you're publishing a book that it's a photo of you and your grandmother that you never met or never could have met. Maybe Kamala was just confused and thought it was her grandma, but it was a grandmother that she had, again, never met. Media should be on this, and they should be asking her this question. How did you make this significant of a blunder in your book? And isn't it quite ironic that every photo that you have presented, two of which look like they're the exact same person, one aged on, which begs the question, is that even Kamala Harris in her lap? I don't know. Again, we're at the beginning of this investigation. But it's interesting that amongst all of the relatives, so many Irish white slavers, the only photos that she chose to put in this book are the ones that make it look as though she might be black. And we have just significantly and without question debunked one of those photos. Also, there's something else that I notice about Beryl and Oscar, this alleged married couple, right? Our alleged husband and wife. Each of them are listed as having a lot of siblings. Oscar's siblings are named Hildred May Harris, Newton Alexander Harris, and Ina Doreen Harris. I cannot find a single photo of these siblings. Now, why am I looking for it? Well, because people take family photos all the time. Tons of the stuff is on the internet. I mean, one of those people lived until 2005. Ina Doreen Harris allegedly lived until 2005. I would just like to see a photo to confirm that these are black relatives. I just want to confirm their race. Can't find a trace. Similarly for Beryl Finnegan has siblings too. Their names are Abraham Judah Finnegan, Noah Pendergast Finnegan, Bernard Washington Finnegan, and Gloria Eugenie Hill. Where are they? Or where are any photos of them, presuming that they've passed? Where are the photos of them? They've got to be somewhere, right? Something very suspicious is going on. I don't know how it is plausible, guys. Do not allow the media to gaslight us. It is not difficult, okay, for a person that is running for president of the United States to have a tidy background. This is my mom. This is my dad. This is my grandma. That it always seems to be the case that right before they run, they introduce like one or two photos that they allege are from their childhood. This is my grandma. This is my mom. And if you ask any more questions, I'm going to scream at you and call you a racist, is completely ridiculous.
That's crazy.
We now have a scandal on our hands, okay? And again, this is the tip of the iceberg. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep looking for these relatives. I'm going to confirm that all of these people are in fact black. I find it strange, just as a little tidbit, that when you go on these genealogy websites, you can see that there's somebody managing the profile. All of the people that are managing the profile for Kamala's relatives are white. What interest would white people around the United States have in managing the profile for this Jamaica family? Unless what Janet Jackson said was true, and that these are her white Irish relatives, and she's been hiding that fact by trying to introduce some random photos of a woman and purporting that that woman is her grandmother. Again, if she's been with you throughout your entire life, Kamala, you could drop some more photos, but no matter what, you lied in your book, okay? You lied in your book. That woman died in 1960, and you were born in 1964, and I find that to be extremely problematic. Like I said, I'm in these streets, just like you, Kamala.
Yeah, that's what she be saying.
And you want to come out and tell the truth. I'm going to be on this. Otherwise, you might as well come up with your storyline, because I don't tend to let go when I have the scent of somebody who's telling a lie. All right, guys, we will pause.
All right. Well, there we go right there, man. That was a lot to unload right there. Y'all can let me know what y'all think. But I've said it from the beginning. Kamala Harris is a liar. You can't believe anything she say because she lies too much. Is she going to answer this? No. You know why? Like I mentioned before, CNN, all them leftist networks is not going to talk to Kamala Harris about this. They're not going to ask her anything about her book. They ain't going to ask her none of this stuff. And that's the reason why she keep getting away with this crap. She don't get any pushback on the crap that she say, the stuff that she put out there. Nobody pushes back on her, and she going to continue to stay over there on the left and go to them lefty networks where they ain't going to push back and demand answers like the reporters and town halls and Fox News, where they're going to really ask you to, hey, we need answers because of this. So with the proposal Candace Owens is saying, for a fact, I can tell you now, Kamala Harris is not going to answer that. She's going to ignore this as if she don't even see it. So like I said, this right here is crazy. This is a bombshell. So y'all let me know down below in the comment section what y'all think about this. Please hit the like button. Make sure y'all go subscribe to Candace Owens, man, because she said she's not giving up on this. She is going to find out. And I'm going to be here to see it all. So like I said before, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.